part 3 of our documentary on interreligious dialogue, Pilgrims in Dialogue, took place in Zamboanga, in the Philippines, in the southern Philippines, in Mindanao. And the reason we went there was because, naturally, the conflict between the Muslim community and the Christian community, the Catholic community. There's a group, of course, that wants independence for the Muslims in the southern Philippines. And because of this dangerous situation, there were many places we could not go. For instance, the island of Basilan, off the coast of Zamboanga, was simply we simply were not allowed to go there because of the security situation. But while we were there, as a matter of fact, all we saw was peace and joy among the Muslims and the Christians, especially at that Silsila workshop. There were so many opportunities for young Muslims and young Christians to get together, and we discovered that they had always wanted to get together. They didn't want to be separated. They were just shy, or they were had no opportunity, or they were so embedded in their own communities that they didn't reach out to the other group. Anyway, the activities were run by this Father Salvatore, a young Italian missionary, a Xaverian priest. And everybody loved him. He was very outgoing and committed to his work of peace through dialogue. And he drove us around during that time, the week we shot our video there, in a white van. And helped us understand the situation. And just a couple of months after we finished shooting our video, I think even before it was completely edited, 2 men drove up alongside his van on motorcycles and shot and killed him, assassinated him in the very same van that he was driving us around in. So when we heard that, of course, we realized how terrible the situation is. Even people working for peace and dialogue are at risk at that time, and many people don't want interreligious dialogue. They don't want to see the 2 groups come together. Actually, I believe that the Muslim extremists that assassinated Father Salvatore were looking for, not for him, but for the founder of the Silsila movement, and they shot him instead. Maybe you remember that one of the other priests we interviewed in that video, a French priest, had been kidnapped for about 2 months by Muslim extremists who were trying to needed money, trying to exchange him for a ransom. So those were some of the sad things we ran into at that time. Unfortunately, the problem is still not solved. But Silsila still exists, and it is, I think, getting lots of support. In fact, ironically, after Father Salvatore's death, I think Silsila got even more support than before, and more people became interested in supporting Silsila, and they realized what a terrible need it was to have to increase the dialogue and the understanding between the 2 groups, Christians and Muslims. And using all the religious groups, the Protestants, the Hindus, the Muslims, all the groups to work for the good of the people. And we asked if there was anything like that going on in Colombo. And they said, yeah, there's one Jesuit priest that works with the poor people along the canals. And he works with the Buddhists, and so we went to his meeting one day, and this little Italian Jesuit priest was there, gathering all of his volunteers together, and suddenly a Buddhist priest walked in, a young Buddhist priest, and the Jesuit priest bowed to him. The Buddhist priest walked up to the front of the room. He opened his fan. He began to chant the scriptures. And then for about 20 minutes, he spoke in the local language. I didn't understand. I didn't know what he was saying. But he spoke to the group of Catholics, of Christians, of Buddhists, of Muslims, of Hindus. All the volunteers preached to them. And meanwhile, the little Italian Jesuit was humbly kneeling on the floor, listening to every word. And I observed him, and I wondered what he was thinking. And after the Buddhist priest had finished speaking, the Jesuit got up and he came over to me and he looked me in the eye and he said, "There was not one word that that Buddhist priest spoke that was unfit for Catholic ears." For Christian ears. So they were united in their belief that the religions can be can come close together, and they have many overlapping areas, many areas overlapping that are truth. So I said, everyone has told me that here in Sri Lanka, it would be impossible for me to interview a Buddhist priest because they're so afraid of Christians because of the fundamentalist Christians that come in and pay them money so that they'll go to church, and pay them money so that they will join their activities. They don't like those groups, and they've given Christians a bad name. So you won't be able to interview a Buddhist priest. Well, I asked the Italian Jesuit, I said, "Do you suppose he would accept an interview?" And he said, "Ask him." So by that time, the Buddhist priest had left in his little bicycle cart, his pedicab, and I went running down the street after him. And I was running along. I said, "Master, would it be possible for me to interview you for a program, for a video on interreligious dialogue?" And he smiled at me and he reached out and he gave me his card and he said, "Call me." So I called him and we made an appointment and we went to his temple. And he had me sit down, and he served us tea, and we talked for about 40 minutes about all kinds of things. And then he said, "How can I be of service to you?" He trusted me. After I don't know whether it was the vibrations or the atmosphere or the questions that he asked me. I don't know why, but he decided to trust me, and he gave me a beautiful interview. And part of it is in our video. And I remember one part that impressed me so much was he said, all of us, everybody on this planet, is really has the same goal: happiness, salvation, peace. But we're all traveling by different roads, by different paths. And we're traveling in different kinds of vehicles. Some are on ox carts, some are on Mercedes-Benz. But sometimes at a crossroads, we stop to rest and refresh ourselves, and we meet the other travelers. Why not use that opportunity to do something for world peace, to understand each other, to talk and exchange our ideas? And I thought that was beautiful. When we left, he gave me a little statue of a Buddha, some ointment, and a towel. And I saved them for a long time as symbols of his goodwill and his desire to share with us.